I've hiked all across California, but there's one trail I'll never go back to. Not because it was steep, not because it was dangerous, but because of what I felt out there, what I saw, and what I still can't explain. They call it Devil's Gate. It's hidden near Pasadena, tucked between the trees and dusty rock canyons. To most people, it's just an old flood control dam built back in 1920, a piece of forgotten engineering surrounded by forest. But if you live nearby, you've heard the stories. The name came from a rock formation near the dam. It looks like a demon's face, no joke. Sharp teeth, hollow eyes, mouth wide open like it's about to swallow the canyon whole. Locals say the gate isn't just a name, it's real. It's a portal. And once something crosses through, it never fully leaves. I didn't believe in any of that until the day I went there. It was late afternoon when I arrived, golden light through the trees. I remember thinking, why do people say this place is haunted? It's beautiful. But the deeper I walked into the canyon, the more that beauty turned cold. The sounds faded. No wind, no birds, just silence. And then footsteps behind me. I turned. No one. I kept walking, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being followed. Like someone, or something, was watching me from the trees. I saw strange symbols carved into rocks near the dam. Some looked fresh, like someone, or something, had been there recently. I later learned those symbols matched descriptions from an old occult ritual, one performed here in the 1940s by Jack Parsons, a rocket engineer, and L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah, that Hubbard. They believed Devil's Gate was a weak spot between worlds, a place where you could open a passage and let something through. They weren't trying to summon ghosts. They were trying to birth a goddess, something called the Moon Child. But some believe they didn't just open a passage, they left it open. As I reached the dam's base, I saw it, that massive stone face, the demon's mouth. And suddenly, I felt sick. Not physically. It was like something inside me shifted, like I didn't belong there. I heard something then, a giggle, high-pitched, a child's voice coming from the trees. I froze. There were no kids out there, no families, no other hikers. The giggling came again, closer this time, soft but layered, like more than one child was laughing over each other. I called out, "Hello? Is someone there?" No answer. Just the rustling of leaves and a shadow darting between the trees. Then I remembered something. In 1956, Donald Lee Baker, 13 years old, and Brenda Howell, 11, rode their bikes near here. They were last seen heading toward the canyon trail. Their bikes were found days later, leaning against the same tree line I had just walked past. But the kids? Never seen again. No blood, no struggle, no clue. I kept walking. Why didn't I turn back? I don't know. Curiosity? Stubbornness? Or maybe something wanted me to keep going. Eventually, I found a narrow path off the main trail, half hidden behind tall grass. Something told me not to follow it. I followed it anyway. The path led to a concrete tunnel, dark, dripping with water. The air was freezing cold, even though it was 80 degrees outside. I stepped inside, and that's when I heard it. Whispers, coming from the tunnel walls. Dozens of them. Some soft, some urgent. Some saying my name. I swear to you. I heard one of them say, "Stay with us." I turned to run, but my legs didn't move. It felt like the tunnel had closed in behind me, like it was breathing. I shut my eyes, counted to 3. When I opened them, the tunnel was empty. Silent again. I sprinted out of there. Didn't stop until I reached my car, but it didn't stop there. That night, I had dreams. of a canyon filled with shadows, of children staring at me with hollow eyes, of the dam, and something crawling out of its mouth. Since that day, my phone randomly shuts off when I'm near forests. I hear footsteps behind me when I'm home alone. And sometimes, in the middle of the night, I wake up to hear laughter, that same high-pitched giggle, and I swear, it's coming from inside my house. I didn't want to believe in campus ghost stories. Every university has them. Some creepy old building, an urban legend, a tale passed from senior to freshman. But the one I heard about room 428 was different, because no one was laughing when they told it. And once I saw it for myself, I stopped laughing too. This happened in my sophomore year at West Virginia University. I had just transferred, and the housing office placed me in West Hall, an old brick building at the edge of campus. It had that weird vintage charm, creaky floors, stained glass windows, and long echoing hallways. But what I didn't know was that room 428 had been sealed shut for years. When I first moved in, I stayed in room 417, just a few doors down from the sealed room. One night, while unpacking, I asked the guy across the hall, "Hey, what's up with that door that's all chained up?" He looked at me dead serious and said, "You don't want to know, man. Just don't knock on it. Ever." I thought he was messing with me, but when I laughed, he didn't. He just shook his head and shut his door. The next morning, I asked the RA. He told me the university doesn't talk about room 428, said it's been closed for structural reasons. But the chains on the door, the salt on the floor in front of it, the faint smell of burnt candles, that wasn't structural. That was something else. Something older. A week passed, and I started hearing things. Knocking. Not loud, just steady. Always at night. Always around 3:17 a.m. At first, I thought it was the pipes. Old building. Makes sense, right? Until one night, the knocking came from right outside my room. And when I opened the door, there was no one there. Just cold air. And that door down the hall. Room 428. Slightly ajar. I swear to you, it had been chained shut just hours before. Curiosity got the better of me. I walked slowly toward it. The hallway lights flickered the closer I got. And as I reached the door, I heard it. A whisper. So faint I thought it was in my head. "Come in." The door creaked open with barely a push. The room was dark. Old furniture. A single wooden desk. Dust floating in the air like ash. But there was something else. Scratches on the walls. Dozens of them. Like someone had tried to claw their way out. And on the mirror across the bed, written in something brown and dried, were the words, "Let me sleep." Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind me. The lights flickered. And the temperature dropped. I could see my breath in front of me. And then, the whispering started again. This time, louder. From every corner of the room, voices, dozens of them, all saying the same thing. "She won't let us go." I grabbed the door handle, tried to open it. It wouldn't budge. I started pounding on it, screaming for help, and then I saw her. In the corner, a figure, long black hair, face twisted and pale, eyes wide open like she hadn't blinked in years. She was sitting cross-legged, rocking back and forth, and whispering, "Mine. Mine. Mine." I don't know how I got out. Maybe I blacked out. Maybe I was never really inside at all. But the next morning, I woke up on the floor outside the room. My hands were covered in dust. There were scratch marks on my arms. And the door was chained shut again. No one believed me. Not the RA. Not the campus police. They told me room 4. 28 has been sealed since 1992, after a girl died inside. Her name was Anna Keller. She had a nervous breakdown. Told everyone something in the mirror wouldn't stop watching her. Then one night, she just snapped. They found her rocking in the corner. Claw marks on her face. She had written the words, "Let me sleep," in her own blood. Since then, every student who stayed in that room either went insane or disappeared. Eventually, the university gave up, sealed the room, forgot about it. But every few years, someone like me gets curious, and the door opens again. I've since transferred schools, moved across the country, blocked the number of anyone from that floor. I thought I left it all behind. But sometimes, just before 3:17 a.m., I hear knocking. Software, steady. Always coming from behind a door I know I locked. I was only 17 when it happened. That one summer in 1997. My cousin Tommy and I used to explore the old rail tracks that ran behind my grandmother's house in rural Pennsylvania. The tracks had been shut down for years. The town said they were abandoned. But the locals whispered stories about a train that still passed through, even though no one ever saw it. They called it the Phantom Train. At first, I thought it was just folklore. Some tale old folks told to scare us off. But what we saw that night wasn't a tale. It was real. It started with a sound, faint at first, like metal screeching in the distance. We were sitting on the tracks, just talking about school, girls, life. Then, that sound came again, louder this time. Tommy looked at me, his face pale. "There hasn't been a train here in over 10 years, he whispered. We stood up, looking down the tracks. There was nothing, just trees, and darkness swallowing the horizon. But the sound didn't stop. It was like something was coming, but invisible. I felt the vibration beneath my feet, like a low growl rising from underground. And then, I heard it. A whistle. A long, cold, ghostly whistle that echoed through the woods and froze the blood in my veins. We panicked. Tommy yelled, "Run!" But before we could move, the air shifted. Cold. Colder than I've ever felt in my life. And through that chill, a light appeared. Not a bright one, but dim, flickering, like an old oil lamp swaying in the darkness. We saw the outline of a train. Black. Rusted. But it wasn't touching the tracks. It hovered. And then, we saw them. Figures. Inside the windows. Staring at us. Their faces weren't normal. No eyes. Just empty sockets. Skin like wax. Mouths open. Like they were screaming silently. I wanted to scream too. But my voice was gone. The train slowed down, right in front of us. Even though there was no driver, no sound, except the humming of despair. One of the figures raised a hand, slowly, and pointed at Tommy. He froze, didn't move, didn't blink. And then, as the train began to move again, Tommy stepped forward. "No!" I shouted. I grabbed his arm, but it was cold, unnaturally cold. He turned to me, but it wasn't him anymore. His eyes, they were hollow, like he was already gone. He said, "I hear them calling." And then, he stepped onto the track, into the path of the vanishing train, and disappeared. I stood there, screaming his name, but there was nothing. The train vanished into thin air, as if it never existed. Tommy was gone. No body, no blood, no sound. The police didn't believe me. They searched for days. They said he probably ran away. Some even accused me. But I know what I saw, and even now, some nights, when the wind is just right, I hear that whistle and feel the ground tremble. I never go near those tracks again. But sometimes, I dream about that train, and Tommy is always on it, still staring, still calling, waiting for me to board. They say, some tracks lead nowhere, but I know, some lead straight to hell. Tommy didn't vanish, he was taken, and I fear, one day, that train will come for me too. So if you ever hear a whistle in the dark, don't look back. Don't go near the tracks. And whatever you do, never answer the call, because the next ticket might have your name on it. If this true story sent a chill down your spine, then you've just scratched the surface. Subscribe to Phantom Diaries, where every whisper, every shadow, and every silence has a story to tell. And remember, some doors should never be opened. We'll meet again in the next tale of terror.